So the Royal Rumble's coming up, and TakeOver San Antonio is coming up. And there's no real easy way to say this, but NXT is more prepared for this weekend than WWE is. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your January 18th NXT review. If you missed it from last night, go back one video, check out my review for SmackDown Live last night, and take the last couple of days to get in your questions for Ask the Phoenix, which will be coming to you guys the week leading up into Royal Rumble. NXT. Back on track, like I said last week, after several weeks of just basically showing us televised house shows, we are very, very quickly building towards NXT TakeOver San Antonio. They've only got a couple weeks to do it, so it is being fast-tracked. It's kind of blatantly obvious, but they're not really doing anything to cover that up either. First match of the night tonight was Nikki Cross, who's in the Fatal 4-Way at TakeOver San Antonio, which I missed. I got to apologize to you guys, actually. When I came off the video last week reviewing NXT, I said, oh, we're going to get either Nikki Cross or Ember Moon getting a title shot. What I missed, apparently, was the backstage segment after NXT went off the air, when Asuka went crazy on William Regal, saying she wanted to fight everybody. So we're getting a Fatal 4-Way. We're getting Peyton Royce, we're getting Billie Kay, we're getting Nikki Cross, and Asuka, conspicuous by her absence, is one Ember Moon. And if you ask me, Liv Morgan as well, but they haven't really built her towards that. The commentators really did a good job of building up how crazy Nikki Cross is in this match, leading up into, obviously, her match coming up at the pay-per-view. She's taking on, I don't want to say a jobber, but I mean, it is what it is, some woman named Kennedy Lewis, who is bigger than Nikki Cross, which is great, because you're crazy, you're rambunctious, you're unpredictable, and what better way to prove that than have you out-crazy this competitor that nobody really knows, but is bigger than you, on your way towards getting the title. So we got a takedown by Cross. Lewis eats lots of turnbuckles, upper turnbuckles, lower turnbuckles, corner to corner, etc. Corner choke by Cross, leading into some mounted punches. A backpack sleeper transitioning into a crossface. Fisherman's neck breaker gets what does really end up being a squash match for Nikki Cross, but I like Nikki Cross. I really do. I know a lot of people were excited when Ember Moon debuted, and deservedly so. She is the female equivalent of Finn Balor for NXT now that Finn Balor's on the main roster. She's a lot of show, a lot of presentation, and a damn good worker in the ring. I always like crazy chick characters. In wrestling, you go back to, like, Daphne back in the day with David Flair. You go back to crazy Mickie James, who just apparently made her comeback recently. Even, I hate that she's being used as an enhancement for 205 Live, but even Alicia Fox, with the crazy Alicia Fox thing, does have a certain appeal. And you got Nikki Cross, who's this girl who comes in with these other two crazy guys. They come in the dark. They've got the great entrance with the smoke and the covered faces. And, you know, typically when Eric Young's cutting a promo, which we're going to talk about later on, you got Nikki Cross literally chewing on the top rope and just, you know, got that sort of rabid dog effect. So, no, this match in itself wasn't very important because it was a jobber match. It was a squash, let's be real, and it didn't go very long. But it was another chance to, character-wise, for people to see this is crazy Nikki Cross and this is what she does. I don't think she's going to pick up the title. I don't think Asuka's going to lose the title at TakeOver, if you want me to be completely honest with you, because I think they are setting up for Asuka versus Ember Moon WrestleMania weekend. But this is going to be good. You're going to have this story play out where you got Peyton Royce and Billie Kay who are on the same page, so they've got a numbers advantage, even though it's every person for themselves. Roddy Raw. It's like anytime a faction goes into the Royal Rumble. Rumble's supposed to be every person for themselves, but there are alliances made along the way. We're going into this four-way where it looks like a team of two versus one. Now, if WWE was smart, they would have those two turn on each other at some point and have a little sub-feud going on, so you can do what SmackDown is very good at, and that's proving that you can have more than one rivalry in your women's division. Let's be real. NXT's women's division and SmackDown's women's division absolutely put Raw's to shame, but that's because it's Raw. In the back, speaking of things that kind of suck, we've got a No Way Jose promo, proving to us that he sucks just as much as last year. He's talking about everything being a fiesta. Whether he's partying, it's a fiesta. When he's in matches, it's a fiesta. When he parties with the crowd, it's a fiesta. And then the other guy, I think he's Samoan, Polynesian, whatever. They had a match like 2 months ago. He's Kona Reese, Kona something or other. And he says, okay, well, come meet me in the ring next week, and we can either have a fiesta or we can have a fight. No way, Jose. It hurts. You guys know, I love SmackDown. I will say that they have a couple of things that are really bad, like James Ellsworth and Naomi still has a job, and they're ruining Natty right now. No Way Jose, along with Andrade Cien Almas, which we're going to talk about later on, are two of the really, along with Elias Sampson as well, the low points of NXT, where it's just like, okay, you guys are the better brand, and you guys are kicking ass. If you guys didn't have shit like this, you'd be absolutely perfect. Not as bad as Raw, but still, we could do without this. The Revival are backstage talking about the 2016 success that they had. You know, they're the world's best tag team and nobody can touch them even though they're not the champions anymore, which is fucking great. They're complaining because the match at TakeOver Toronto's already passed. At TakeOver San Antonio with the Authors of Pain and DIY should be a triple threat match. And then they're confronted by TM61, who, as I've said over and over and over again, are a great and talented team in the ring. They have yet to present me with a reason to care. I don't doubt that they can do it. I really don't. They haven't done it yet. When other teams were taking on the Revival, and the Revival were sort of new and finding their footing and all that sort of thing, that's what I used to say about the Revival. I care about the team that they're fighting, therefore I don't care about them, I don't need a reason to, whatever. And slowly but surely, they have built up a resume on NXT and a character and a persona that I really like and I really gravitate to. So now the roles have reversed. I'm a really big fan of Revival now, and TM61 are the ones that I don't really care about, and they're having that same progression that Revival did, but they're doing it a lot slower, which is unfortunate because, like I say, it's not like these guys aren't talented in the ring. Next, first match of the night is Roderick Strong versus Steve Cutler. Now, I know Roddy Strong came to NXT with a lot of applause and a lot of approval from a lot of people. Apparently, he was a super big name in ROH, and I don't want to take that away from him whatsoever, but I don't watch ROH, so show me something. Steve Cutler kind of looks like Steven Richards on steroids, not gonna lie, with a very oddly cut goatee. Collar and elbow and an armbar by Strong, and a key lock headbutts to the midsection by Cutler, and a dropkick by Strong. Mudhole and some corner chops by Strong, and they trade some punches. Hangman, I can read my own writing, I promise you guys. Hangman by Cutler, mounted punches and kicks. Strong eats a turnbuckle, ribs first, you know, sternum first, take the wind out of you, that sort of thing. Crossface by Cutler. Olympic slam by Strong made me smile, if you consider the fact that Kurt Angle just got announced for the Hall of Fame this year. But yeah, Olympic slam by Strong, followed by a boot, an enziguri, a clothesline, a corner high knee, a side slam, and a running boot. So 9 moves of doom, and Roderick Strong gets the win. I must have missed something between Roderick Strong and Andrade Cien Almas, because he gets interviewed on the ramp about Almas, says he doesn't have any time for Almas. Almas isn't even on his radar. His focus, his path leads directly to the NXT World title, which surely should be anybody's motivation unless you're a tag team or a female on this brand. Ember Moon is in the back. She talks, not bitching, but she does talk about how she's not involved in the Fatal 4-Way at TakeOver San Antonio. She's waiting for the dust to clear to see who the next champion's going to be. Liv Morgan comes out in kind of a respectful way and says, you know what, I wasn't really involved in that either. I think you and I, you know, we shouldn't just be bitching and whining and moaning and kvetching like Billy Kay and Peyton Royce do. Why don't we go out like we can do and show the NXT brass, the NXT higher-ups, that we deserve to be in that title picture too? We should go out there and have a little scrap to show what we can do. I was really hoping this was going to be tonight, honestly, because I like Ember Moon. I like Liv Morgan. I think Liv Morgan is criminally underrated. She's not ready for the main roster, no. But I do think she's criminally underrated as like the one diva of this women's division, which is really, really unfortunate. Ember Moon will bring her to a great match. That's all going to happen next week, and it gives us something to look forward to on the Go Home episode of NXT. It's all coming about, isn't it? Pages are sticking together. Makes me look super professional. Ty Dillinger comes out to loud, not only 10 chants, but Royal Rumble number 10 chants, you know, pertaining to the rumors that Dillinger is indeed going to debut in the Royal Rumble at number 10. Talks about his future, talks about ending 2016 with a big question mark. He asks the crowd, what's next for me? I don't know what's next for me. I've let you all down. I've let William Regal down. I've let my fans watching at home down. It's left me wondering, do I even still belong in NXT? Cue SAniTY's music again. And like I say, I know it makes me a mark. I get that. But I love the SAniTY entrance. I love the spotlight bit. I love the smoke, the whole deal. They come down with Sawyer Fulton's jacket. Now, I've missed something in the equation because all through December and into this year, they've been one man short. They've had Alexander Wolf, Eric Young, Nikki Cross, and they've been sort of stalked from the sidelines by this big dude Damo. But we don't know what happened to Sawyer Fulton. If something happened backstage, if he's parted ways with the company quietly, I'm not aware of it. So put it down in the box below and let me know. SAniTY, Eric Young comes out on the mic cutting his promo while Nikki Cross and Alexander Wolf are going crazy. Behind him, he says, "You don't have it, man. You just don't have it. But you could. You could have it all. You need guidance. You need to make better choices. You need to pick a better path, and you just need the right friends." He offers him Sawyer Fulton's jacket, aka here's a symbol of your membership to SAniTY if you want to join us. It gets denied, and Dillinger waves him off as the pure Snow White babyface that he is. Eric Young says, cool, man, I get it. The right decisions always feel wrong in the beginning. It can be unclear, but you really need to do things our way, and you can have it all in 2017. But just know that I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. And he gives him the jacket once again, and he drops the coat. He takes the thing, like he usually does when he puts his hands up to do the 10 thing. He puts his hands up and drops the coat again. Now that starts a little bit of a brawl between him and Wolf and Young, and it's 2-on-1, but he's the babyface, and he's getting a little bit of a come up, and he's got the other two guys down in the ground, and then he gets speared literally out of nowhere like an RKO by this big motherfucker Damo, who gives a look to Wolf, gives a look to Young, gives a look to Nikki Cross, and then turns his attention back to Dillinger, puts him up on the turnbuckle for what looks like it's going to be a simple electric chair drop, but it's basically, he puts him in the electric chair position and sort of crunches him down, this similar to how Samoa Joe sets up for the Muscle Buster. He crunches him all the way down and drives him down in this gigantic Michinoku driver from the electric chair position. Takes the coat from Eric Young. Eric Young looks like he busts a nut in the middle of the ring. They've got the big bad fourth member of SAniTY, which is going to lead to incredible things for SAniTY down the road. SAniTY is NXT's version of the Wyatt family, except better. Like I say, I don't know what happened to Fulton. I don't know if he's waiting in the wings. I don't know if he's getting the Eric Rowan treatment, where he's just kind of not there right now. But you've got this group. You've got Eric Young, the maniacal leader. You've got, you know, the crazy chick. You've got the one follower in Alexander Wolf, who's sort of in that Luke Harper type role, and then you got the big monster, the Braun Strowman of SAniTY in this big dude Damo. Again, apparently this guy's a big name. You guys know me, I don't watch the indies. If this is a guy that I should know about, help me out in the box below like you guys always do. It all moves forward, and it all moves forward, and it all moves forward, because after the break, we hear that Young and Dillinger has been made official for TakeOver San Antonio. Revival versus TM61. Nothing really special about the match. I mean, I did take notes, but it's a typical Revival versus TM61 match. Great tag team wrestling from both teams. The funny thing about it is TM61, for the most part, from what I can see, are supposed to be, like I said about Dillinger a second ago, they're supposed to be the fan favorite pure Snow White underdog, pure Snow White babyface guys, you know, the stand up for what's good and right and strong and work hard and roddy raw. But they won because Miller pinned Dash while Thorne was holding Dawson outside the ring. So you've got these guys that are trying to make a name for themselves at Revival's expense, while Revival are just nursing a loss. So they're kicking them when they're down, and they're winning by cheating. So please, somebody at this point in time, tell me how the Revival are not the baby faces in this scenario. I don't mind it. Revival are great. They've got a following. I was a little late to that bandwagon, I admit. But tell me how they're not the baby faces in this scenario. You really, really can't. There's a beatdown after the match, Shatter Machine for one of the members of TM61, and that trapped knee dropkick thing that they did to Gargano a while ago to fuck up his knee, they did it to the other member of TM61. So I guess that is how they're swinging the pendulum back into the heel category. It doesn't make much sense, but that's, again, it's because I don't care about TM61. I just don't. Speaking of people that I don't really care that much about, you got Andrade Cien Almas, who's confirmed for a match with Roderick Strong at TakeOver. And all I can say is I really hope Roderick Strong goes over, because you got one guy that I don't know enough yet in Roderick Strong, so I'm paying attention. I want to learn more about this guy, versus another guy that I don't want to see on my screen, which is Andrade Cien Almas. So obviously I'm going to be backing Strong. When it comes to TakeOver, it should be a decent match. Cien, although his gimmick sucks and he's annoying as fuck, he's decent in the ring. Roderick Strong will bring him to a good match. There's my prediction right there. Roode versus Nakamura, contract signing for the NXT Championship at NXT TakeOver San Antonio. Roode comes out and says there will be no physicality at this contract signing like there are in most contract signings, because he knows that Regal knows that he means dollar signs for NXT as a brand at TakeOver. He says he's familiar with Shinsuke Nakamura, but he's familiar enough with Shinsuke to know that he's not worth his time. Says, yeah, you've had success, but you've got no style. Nakamura, because of his English and whatnot, keeps his promos short and sweet. He calls Roode a Japanese dog, and he says, you won't be making any changes in NXT as long as I'm champion. He says, I'm the it factor and you're a joke, you know. I do like that, and there was a big pop from the crowd because the It Factor nickname that he had in TNA, everybody was wondering when he first debuted in NXT, why didn't they just keep that, the It Factor Bobby Roode? They brought up the Glorious thing out of nowhere. Now, it's become a cliche, it's become part of his gimmick and whatever, and he plays it up great, but the whole It Factor nickname, it's like Cowboy James Storm. You know, was he still going to be the cowboy, you know, doing the whole sorry about your damn luck shtick that he did in TNA, and when he started doing it, it got received because people already knew it, and for him to bring up the It Factor cliche here did the same thing. It was something people were familiar with even before the Glorious thing came in there. A little tiny thing, but it got a pop from the crowd, which is great. Change will come when I take the NXT title, and I'm gonna make it, and then he gets cut off, and Shinsuke finishes off the entire night by saying, in San Antonio, I'm gonna kick your head off, and it will be, and he lets the crowd say it, glorious. Great way to sign it off. Bobby Roode is fucking fuming. Shinsuke Nakamura is doing his typical charismatic shtick, and it's basically the same way that Shinsuke goes into any feud. He's got an angry guy like Roode, an angry guy like Samoa Joe, a creepy guy like Finn Balor, all losing their shit, while he just sits there with the big charismatic shit-eating grin on your face. Best example of that was him grabbing Samoa Joe with the whole fucking got your nose, while Joe's, you know, the chants from the crowd, Joe's gonna kill you. Here's this big, massive, steamrolling monster of a man that would literally tear you apart, and you're so confident and charismatic and cocky and whatever the case may be that you're gonna go do the childish got your nose stuff. It was the same thing here. You know, he stole Roode's catchphrase. Roode went all fucking crazy about him stealing his catchphrase, and he let the crowd say it for him. Sorry. And it was all really good, and it was a good way. Like I say, NXT, and we see it bleeding more and more and more into SmackDown now because some of the NXT writers are also writing for SmackDown. Not everything is blow you out of the water every week, but everything is functional. We've got 5 matches now for TakeOver San Antonio. That's more, okay, other than the actual Rumble match, that's more matches than we have signed for the Royal Rumble, and that's coming from 2 different brands to fill 4 hours of programming. You've pretty much got the entire TakeOver San Antonio card set, unless they want to put Liv Morgan, Ember Moon, something like that on there. Right now you've got Almas versus Strong, which will be a good sort of kick off the night type match. Young versus Dillinger, which is another, like when it was Dillinger versus Roode, it's another battle of Canadians, which is always interesting for me. Plus you've got that extra big motherfucker that just joined SAnitY, along with Eric Young, so I'm sure that will play a part somewhere. DIY versus the Authors of Pain, not the greatest pairing in the world, but if we can get Authors of Pain out of the way and get them onto another team, that would be just great. Asuka versus Nikki Cross versus Peyton Royce versus Billie Kay, where I'm going to be cheering hard for Nikki Cross, even though I know she's not going to win, is going to be alright. I hope that this sort of breaks Peyton Royce and Billie Kay out of the title picture so we can bring up, like I say, an Ember Moon or a Liv Morgan, and Nakamura versus Roode is going to be as good as we all know it is. So as far as Royal Rumble weekend, as I said at the beginning of this video, NXT is more ready for that weekend right now than the main roster is, and that's not even surprising at this point. It's going to be a good show. We got one more week to go before we get to that pay-per-view. As I say, get your questions in the last couple of days before I do the Ask the Phoenix for January. Going to be doing that Royal Rumble weekend. Other than that, I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.
You're a freak like me.